My video today has been necessitated by a discussion that we held with two individuals. One who went for a loan appraisal. He had applied for a loan, and through the appraisal process, he was asked to bring in his a CRB report. And in this report, it was discovered that through the credit report, this gentleman has had about 8 small debts, some dating back 8 years. And he played cool that he didn't know about those debts. There is a lot that we do with our money that is good. And it is good because it is your money. And there's nothing you're going to do with your money that is wrong unless you're using it to do some illegal stuff. But all the uses that we apply our money are good uses. It's our money. But we get tested by time on whether those good decisions that we made or applications that we did were right. In personal finance is about doing good decisions with your money or right decisions with your money. So you can have good decisions about your money, some that may not be right. And your decisions, whether small or big, become right decisions when tested by time and under the principles of finance. There is the common principles that sometimes we don't put a lot of weight on them. A basic principle like pay yourself first, which I find also misplaced because we have the 7, which can also be categorized as 4 cashiers of life. Those cashiers are the receivers of money. When you receive your money as an employee, when you receive what you pay yourself as a self-employed person, how you apply the money, those that you pay become the cashiers of life. And the first cashier is God, for those who believe in God through the 10%. We have a second cashier who hardly trusts you, and that is the taxman. And for that reason, the taxman has to take his share from the payroll or from source. When you purchase your bond, when you are paid your coupons, the taxman takes his share before you are paid. You are given the net coupons. And the third cashier in life is supposed to be you under that basic principle of paying yourself. First is just a basic principle, but you are the third cashier in life. As we now move down to the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, and the 7th cashiers, who can also be lumped together as now the rest in application of your money. We have other principles like the principle of delayed gratification. We have a principle of living within your means and keep expanding those means while you make sure that you are living within the means as they expand. Then we have still other principles like leveraging, using other people's time, using other people's money, and the rest. Those are the principles that will come to test over time whether the decisions that you did were good or they were good and right. And now, going back to our gentleman in our discussion, this person failed to secure this loan that he had applied because of good decisions, good actions on his money dating 8 years back that he never calculated their impact. He never evaluated over time what their impact would be in future. And such are the many mistakes that we do with our money. In this video, we need to sample out some good money habits that majority have that they need to stop with time, but the best time to stop them is now. The first one is that thought that you can use the courts to run away from obligations. While the court process can be used in a good way where you feel that these debts, the interest charged over time, even if it has been in default for whatever period, that interest can be challenged in court if you feel it is in excess, because we have a principle that guides charging of interest on debts. You can also follow the court process where a debt has been imposed on you when it's not. But in the case the debt was incurred by you, the court cannot entertain a default. It will be an abuse of court process to think that you can use the courts to run away from your debt obligations. And no matter how long it takes, that debt will catch up with you, and it may catch up with you at a time of need, at a time that you are realizing of the mistakes that you have done in the past and you need to correct them. And one way or another, that small debt that you incurred and ignored becomes your greatest impediment at that time. Number two, mind your mental health. Honor your debt obligations. When you have defaulted on a loan and the recovery procedures catch up with you, that process can affect your mental health completely. Some of the processes that recovery methods and the individuals use, especially the auctioneers, they can traumatize you and your people in their recovery process. And that trauma can last long with you if you are not careful. And for the first and the second one are brought about because of the third habit that you must stop. And this is the habit of abusing or misusing credit facilities. I've seen and met individuals who are suffering the consequence of abusing credit facilities or the debt processes. There are individuals who take a loan, repay it just for the sole reason of building a good credit history. Not that they need the money that they're taking. They are building a good credit history with an intention of taking bigger loans. And sometimes not even knowing the purpose for that particular loan. Using loans or taking loans solely to build a credit history, to take bigger loans, that alone is an abuse or a misuse of a credit process, a credit facility. And that is itself is preparing a pit in which you are going to sink, and one of the key killers of your wealth, because your incomes that you are now going to tie into these debts, that is the only ability that you have to create wealth. Number four, the habit of borrowing for consumption. It's good when we use our money, we borrow to buy things for our comfort. It's good when we buy things for our general consumption. Consumption is not just eating. Consumption would generally refer to whatever expenditure that you're incurring for things that will not generate value. Anything that you are buying that is not going to generate value, that is pure consumption. And majorly, it will also cover things that you buy of a depreciating character or things that lose value. And we are not engaging those things in generation of value that compensates for whatever is lost. That is consumption. We have a habit of borrowing for such usage, consumption. It's good, it brings comfort, it brings joy, but the consequence, once tested over time, in sometimes it may be too bad for us. If you are lucky to borrow for consumption and you come out of it well and life goes on, because you may borrow, life goes on, you get to expand your incomes along the process, that is good and okay, but it may not apply to all of us. Borrowing for consumption should be treated carefully. The other good habit is borrowing to start a new business. A new business, in this case, we are referring a business that you don't understand, a business that you haven't walked through. You don't know its cash flows. And that means that in the event of a mistake, or as you learn through the business, in the event of a catastrophe or anything that will bring down that business, or you fail, in the business, these debts will remain hanging on your neck. The best way to start a new venture or a new business is saving your capital, using capital that is not leveraged, using capital that doesn't belong to other people. Don't borrow to start a new business. The other good habit that you must stop is borrowing expensive loans to pay cheaper ones. You are not a government. Only government borrows because it pays debts with other people's money. A government can borrow at whatever rate. At the end of the day, it is not the government that feels the pain. For your personal finance, borrowing expensive to pay cheap is increasing the burden or postponing a problem. Borrowing Peter to pay John also is postponing a problem, but when you borrow expensive to pay cheap, you are not only postponing this problem, but you are also making it bigger. Or the opposite would be better when you borrow cheap to pay expensive, because that one leaves you with some net balance or a net direct increase in your incomes. The last but not the least, using Shylocks or borrowing from Shylocks. Shylocks are there as a player to bridge the financing gap that is left by the mainstream financiers. But Shylocks use unorthodox ways in recovery of their money. They also use exorbitant rates when charging you their interest. And to make it worse, they recover their interest upfront before they give you the money. And in any case, the Shylocks are tricksters, knowledgeable people, conmen and con women, and they will put you into agreements, bind you legally, and they execute their recovery through unorthodox means that can traumatize you and your family. Lastly, but not the least, online lending applications. This is an area that have grounded very many people in terms when using online lending applications. While taking loans and there could be for good reasons, and that's why we are saying these are good decisions, good habits, but tested over time, they may not be right. These applications have predatory, they will pull you, they will attract you to take their loans. But at the end of the day, these small debts or small money is very dangerous. Taking small loans are very dangerous because small loans will never help you. Better a huge loan. A small loan puts you into a rat race. A small loan puts you in a pit that you will keep on digging, sinking further. These online lending applications have landed many people in legal troubles. Although there are many avenues, most of them are just used, most of those legal processes and notices are mainly they are issued for purposes to scare the borrower for many. But in instances where you find yourself before a magistrate, in the case of defaulting on such an or loan, remember our habit number one that you must stop. You cannot use a court process to run away from your debt obligations. The court cannot entertain that. If you find yourself on these online lending applications that you have borrowed, you must plan on how you are going to settle those debts over time when they catch up with you. Because as for our friend in question, he has been caught up in these online lending applications. At least out of the 8 cases that he has, 4 of them relate to online lending applications. Small debts that you took for good reasons, and that's why we are calling them good decisions that you made, but tested over time today, these happen now to have been not right. Those 8 that we have highlighted are small, good money habits relating to debts that we must stop from 2025. Thank you for watching and see you in our next video.